Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Wednesday, August the 19th. The year's 2020. Let's talk trading. Stop sign versus mile marker. And I've got Walmal on the line. But before we begin, just a little reminder that these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and Walmal's. Trading is extremely risky. You can lose all of your money. If you need trading, investment, or financial advice, seek the advice of an accredited financial professional. So, Walmal, stop sign versus mile marker. Oh, wait a minute. That's interesting. We had a little line disconnect. Anyway, what are we talking about? Well, in the trading plan, as you know, Walmart has a daily goal of 10 pips. So, and Harry's calling right back. Hey, there you are, Walmart.
I don't know what it broke up really, really bad. I couldn't even hear you.
What happened was I turned the speaker off because sometimes when there's some scratchy sounds in the back, I should have probably told you that. But anyway, so I just told everybody that you have that daily goal of 10 pips, but is that a stop sign or is it a mile marker? Because we've been, I give you a hard time. I call you an addict, and we had discussed that, so we decided to make a video about it.
Okay.
So, is it a stop sign or a mile marker?
It's not a stop sign for me. It's more of a mile marker. I have a goal. That's what I call my core, and it's a mile marker. It's like, okay, I've gotten to where I need to be for today, but it's certainly not a stop sign, especially if if the market is going and smiling on me today.
But then you're putting your, like you said, you could be up 9 pips, and the next trade you could, give back 2 or 3.
Yep, and that is actually what does happen sometimes, but if I'm up 9 pips, or actually I'll give you a better example. If I'm up 7 pips, I'm going in, and I'm going to go and try to go and get to my 10 pips and get beyond that, and get beyond that mile marker, and go on and continue. If I'm at 9 pips, I'm going to make a decision at that point in time. Am I done for the day or am I not done for the day? Sometimes it's a stop sign, but more than likely, it's not. It's just a mile marker, and I'll continue. And I think we talked about this a little bit in yesterday's video, and that is that, if I take a loss and let's say I go from 9 pips, and I drop all the way down to, or, where I'm actually even, let's say, hits my hard stop, worst case scenario, and now I've got -1 pips for the day. Can that happen? Yep. Has it happened? Yep. And what do? That's just part of trading. It happens sometimes. And if it doesn't mess with your psychology, if it doesn't mess with your head, that's okay. And for whatever reason, it really doesn't mess with me too badly. I'll admit that, there are days where it makes me mad, but, first of all, I got to go and, we've talked about this in the past as well. Who made the decision to get into the trade? Me. Who decided to go and take the loss? Me. So what's the problem? I followed what I was supposed to do, and that's just what's going to happen. And I know statistically, and I say this almost every video, because I just got to go and bang it home, and that is that statistically I know over time I will go and win more than I lose. Statistically, I know that by just trading, horizontal lines, I can very, very easily make up that loss. So let's say I go and, I'm up 9 pips, and I'll actually say I'm up 7 pips, and I take a stop loss of 10 pips, and I'm now down 3 pips for the day. Okay. Well, guess what? I can then go and take another trade and very easily get a really nice trade, and now be up 12 pips for the day. That very easily can happen. I was relating to you earlier, Tiro, about, trading last Thursday, I think it was, with me. And, what happened was I took a winning trade. It was only, I think I won 5, 6, maybe 7 pips. Then took a trade, and I lost. And next thing I know, I'm down like 3, 4 pips. Took another loss. Next thing I know, I'm now down like almost 15 pips, or maybe even more. I don't recall. All I know is I was down big. I hardly ever go and take 2 losses in a row. It happens, sure. So what did I do? Did I just, roll and, pack up the bags and go home? Well, that's an option. And if that's your psychology, and that's part of your training plan, you take 2 losses in a row, you quit, that's fine. Go and do that. That's your training plan. My training plan doesn't say that. So I continued on. And by the end of the day, I went and not only made up all those pips I was down, but I walked away with only 7, 8 pips in my pocket. And then somebody's going to go and say, well, that was a lot of wasted time. You were up 7 pips, and then at the end of the day, you're only up 7 pips, and you had all those other trades. Yeah, but there's been other days where I'll give an example of today. Today I went and took my first trade, and on that first trade, I was up 5, 6 pips. I won those 5, 6 pips, took a second trade, and on that trade, I was up 3, 4 pips, and now I'm up 10 pips. I've made goal. I went and took the next trade, and I was up 5 pips, and because of my rules, my trading plan, it says I use my 10-5-1 method, and next thing you know, I got stopped out with +1. Okay, so I go and take the next trade and do the same thing, and I'm up 5 pips, and it hits my stop loss of 1. Okay, now I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm not going to do this anymore. Take the next trade. I'm up 5 pips. Guess what I do? Take my 5 pips. Okay? See the next trade. And see my 5 pips. Take my 5 pips. And so at the end of the day, and I did that a number of times, by the end of the day, I'm done trading for the day at this point, and I'm up 28 pips for the day. So, yeah, you're going to have days where you're going to be up a lot, and you're going to be days where, it's going to run against you. And as long as it doesn't mess with your brain and the way you think, that's okay.
Yeah, so basically, like you said, for you, it's a mile marker. It's not a stop sign. And that works for you. But,
yeah, and it works for me.
Yeah, but probably for, say, the beginner trader or the trader that's trying to become profitable, it makes more sense for it to be a stop sign.
Yeah, and I would say that, and here's the reason why. When you're first starting out and you're first learning how to trade, the reality is that there's a lot of things that go against you and mess with your confidence level. Okay, and the reason why confidence is important is because if you don't have the confidence to go and place the trade, you're not going to place the trade. Or if you don't have the confidence to believe in the statistics, you're not going to believe in the statistics, and you're going to get out too early. And so that'll nail you. How good do you feel at the end of the day if you can say, I went and put 7 pips, 10 pips into the bank? You walk around with a high for the rest of the day. At least I do. You're just sitting out there. But the problem is, what if you have a day where you put 7 pips, 10 pips into the bank, and now you take a loss? And let's say your loss, you did everything right, and you wind up taking a loss of 10 pips. Okay, you hit your emergency brake, and you take a loss of 10 pips. And now you're either break even or you're -3. You just went from a high all the way down to completely deflated. You're a pop balloon, or my wife likes to go and call it, you're a crushed grape, That's just what you are.
You're grape juice, huh?
You're grape juice, and you're just a mess. And then the next day you regret even going to the trading desk the next day. You have no confidence going to that trading desk, and that starts to mess with you. So until you go and say, man, not only does this work, but I'm able to do it. Okay, when you start going to the desk that way, man, that's a good feeling. And because then, even if you take a loss, all it does is break down and it breaks you down to the point of, instead of being on that, that really confident thing, it breaks you down to the point of, well, that was a bad day. Okay, tomorrow will probably be better because I know this works. Because it worked on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Didn't work on Friday. Monday's a new day, a new week, and I'm going to jump on that, and we're going to do good. And so you want to keep that level of confidence up.
Yeah, because I think we talked about this before, but there's those people, traders out there, and they see our methods, and they always say something about, but what about that 20 or 30 pip loss? And we both tell them, it's like, well, you have a hard 10 pip stop, and you don't lose more than 10 on a trade.
right. That's exactly right. And I think I said this on the last video or the video before. I said, if I take a 20 pip spot, okay, and I take a 20 pip loss, I said, I'll buy the plane tickets for you can come out here, fly out here to Atlanta, and then hit me upside the head with a 2x4, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's not in my trading plan.
Yeah, but
you just don't do that.
Yeah, but then, what I talked about yesterday, is it, we talk about pips, we talk about dollars, and then we talk about stop loss, or position size, because you can have a 20 pip stop loss,
absolutely.
but once again, your position size is going to be half, because it's the risk, it's the dollars or percent of your account that you're willing to lose per trade. So that if you're saying, well, what about those 20 pip stop losses? So what you're saying is, you're ignoring your risk, and you're just letting that trade go way against you, which is the path to ruin.
Right, exactly. And the thing about that, Tiro, is very simple. My trading plan doesn't allow me to do that. My trading plan says the most I can lose is 10 pips.
Yeah.
Okay? And so now, we talk about Dragon sometimes on these videos a lot, and his trading is actually very similar to my trading. It's just nuanced differently. But he had a 20 pip stop loss. Okay, that's great. That's what his trading plan said to do. So his risk, would be half of what my risk would be.
No, his risk would be the same. It's just his position size would be half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. His risk would be exactly the same, but his position size would be half. And that works too. And especially if you made the decision that this is what my trading plan is. And the reality is that if I was to go and do that and take my maximum stop loss and move from 10 pips to 20 pips, I probably wouldn't win a whole lot more trades, to be honest with you.
But you probably wouldn't make as much money, though, either.
But I probably wouldn't make as much money. That's exactly right. So I made the decision to go and do it this way. So my way of doing it, for me, it works. Somebody else, it may not work. And it's funny that, that I even say this right now, because there was a time back, I guess in April or May, when I was reading a lot of stuff that Dragon did out on the forum and stuff, and watching it and looking at how he was doing it, I said, man, that looks really good. And I went and took a week where I said, you know what, I'm going to go and mess with that and see if it works for me. It was one of the worst weeks of trading I ever had. And it was just, why? I was trading another man's method. I wasn't trading, Walter's method. I was trading Dragon's method. And and not to say that there's anything wrong with his method. It works for him. And there were a lot of things that I did glean from that and look at. I like that. That fits in with my trading plan. And I'm going to start doing that, and so that works for me. But at the same time, I can't trade somebody else's plan. I got to trade my plan.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and it's kind of funny because yesterday I was watching Cam over on Trading Nut, and he had a trader on there doing that replay trade, and Cam asked me if I would do it. And at first I told him no, and then I thought, wait a minute. I'm not afraid. I go, okay, I'll do it. And so I was watching it, watching this other guy do it, and I was kind of cracking up just because of the guy was trying to explain this and explain that and doing all this. And I'm just like, man, these guys really make this stuff complicated, at least to me. And it's like, I'm just thinking, man, why don't you just put a horizontal line there? I just always come back to that. Because, he's talking about market structure and all this and all that and, and all this risk to reward, which is something we'll talk about in another video because, as scalpers, we just don't want to lose too much. But, one trade will take 1 pip and the next one, if the market smiles, will take 10. But you know what? Once again, Walmal, it's the fastest 15 minutes in trading. So, fellow traders, you're going to have to decide if your goal is a stop sign or a mile marker. Because just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So get out there and drain the banks. The Rumple